Hey there, bunny. Now relax. Here, let's see. Are you ready? Oh yeah, that's what I expected. Got the hay stash and looks like she's ready for babies. She's due on Wednesday, and we got a big cold front coming through and supposed to get several inches of snow. It seems like this rabbit, every time she's ready to give birth, we get a big cold front that comes through and lots of snow. But I wasn't sure. I threw some straw in there yesterday. She wasn't acting right, or she wasn't acting crazy about it. But today, definitely gathering up that straw, hay stash, and carrying it around. She's gonna be having babies in the next day or two. So I'll have to keep close watch on her and see how she does. Are we on camera? Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And you know, in a lot of ways, this is the hardest time of the year for me because, you know, the groundhog just said yesterday that it's, we got 6 more weeks of winter left. That's it. 6 more weeks till spring. That's it. It's going to be a short winter. It's going to be an early spring. So that means we got to get our vegetables started, right? You start everything 6 weeks before you plant it out. And if spring's coming in 6 weeks, we got to get everything started, right? Well, don't get that high hopes. Don't get that much of a rush. You know, around here, our average last frost date is April 15th. But that's our average last frost date. It could easily go a couple of weeks after that. A couple of years ago, we had snow on May 1st. So most of my vegetables, my tomatoes, my peppers, my cucumbers, all those heat-loving plants, they don't go into the ground until at least the first week of May, usually the second week of May. So I don't start those quite this early, but it is a good time to go ahead and get my brassicas started. Like I said, this is a hard time of year for me because it's like hurry up and wait, just getting impatient as can be. So if nothing else, you know, honestly, I don't do a great job with growing brassicas. Some of them, cabbage grows pretty well for me, but I've never been able to grow broccoli very well or Brussels sprouts very well. We're going to try again this year, see how well I do. I think I'm going to invest in some row covers to kind of keep the bugs out of them. But as far as starting them's pretty easy. So I'll just run through with you guys how I'm going to be starting them. I'm using a Jiffy seed starting mix. This is just an organic seed starting mix. It's there's no dirt in it. It's basically just peat moss and vermiculite. Let me pull up a chair here and sit down so I don't feel like I'm standing up the whole time. And I've just got these little seed starting trays here I've saved from years past. They don't need this big of a tray, honestly. These are just the smallest ones I have. They're only going to stay in here until they grow up, and when they get their first set of true leaves, I'm going to be transplanting them out into some actual potting mix to grow from there. But getting them started in here will work just fine. So, I got to stand up. It's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to fill these up, pack them down quite a bit because this stuff is light and it will pack down as you water it. So you don't want to just fill it up all loose, and then whenever you put water in there, it shrinks down to a quarter of the size. Again, they don't need that much. They're not going to stay in here very long, so you don't have to get them completely full. But I do like to have them a little bit more, pretty much to the top. That gives them a little bit of room to compress down as they start taking on water and stuff like that. So I've got, step around here in the front. Let's move this bag back. Change up just a little bit. I've got a little spray bottle here. That's my favorite water. You just pump it up and you mist them. I'm going to water this stuff down a little bit before I put seeds in there because I don't want to put seeds in there and then put water on it and have it hang on, let me get this thing right. There we go. And then have it all the seeds float away. You might be able to tell on camera. I don't know if you can or not, but the water on top of here is just kind of sitting on top. So I need to let it kind of soak in just a minute, at least the little bit on the top couple of layers of it before I go putting seeds in there. Or otherwise, like I said, whenever I go to water, it's just gonna float on top and wash the seeds away. So I'm gonna fill up a couple more of these while I'm letting that soak in. You can use really anything you want to start seeds in. The one important thing is make sure they have drainage holes in the bottom. These have little slits in the bottom. You want to have drainage holes in the bottom for a couple of reasons. You get too much water in there, you want it to drain off, but also it makes it a lot easier to water your plants. You can just water them. You don't have to water them from the top. Once they get sprouted and once they start to grow roots, you can water them from the bottom. So you just put water in the tray and let it soak up through the bottom, and it's a lot easier than trying to water them through the top. Now, until they actually sprout and get growing, you do need to water them from the top, and it's nice to have something like a spray bottle like this to do that with, instead of a watering can that's going to just dump a bunch of water on them at one time, dig a hole in the dirt. You guys may be hearing it. My neighbor's got a Great Pyrenees, likes to bark at everything. I kind of tune it out so it doesn't bother me too much, but if it's too much on the video, I apologize for that. My dog's joining in now. There must be somebody walking down the road. All right, so got the little seed pack tray started up. Oh, I got the wrong one now. Oh well, I'll fix that later. I got the wrong tray here. This one's got a crack in it, so I don't want to use that one. I want to use, I think this one's a good one. It's got a little crack, but I think it's fine. I think I'll use it. So here, let's just set this off to the side. Okay, so now normally what I'll do is I'll plant the seeds and then I'll put a piece of tape on here telling me what they are, because you won't remember. And when they start to sprout, there's no way to tell the difference between them. But I'm gonna have to do that. I forgot to bring my tape and stuff outside. So let's start off with, here, let's see, what am I gonna do? I think I'm gonna start off with some cabbage. So it's pretty easy. The biggest mistake most people make whenever they start seeds, if they don't have success with starting seeds, is they plant them too deep. So now these are tiny little seeds. Common common instruction, I guess, for planting seeds is you want to plant them about as deep as the seed is, as the width of the seed. So now that's really hard with these little bitty seeds. They're tiny. I'm gonna have a hard time not getting them to blow away out here. If it gets too windy, I'm gonna have to go inside, but I think I can manage. So these are tiny little seeds. They're not big enough to where you can actually tell how big the seed is to how deep you should plant it. So I'm not gonna bother with digging a hole in the dirt. I'm just gonna kind of rough it up on the top, basically, when I put these seeds in. They do need to be covered, but they just barely need to be covered. I cannot get this package open. And, plant 2 or 3. I usually do about 3 seeds per little pot, because you never know what kind of germination rate you're going to get. You will end up thinning out once they sprout to the strongest one. And it feels kind of wasteful to pull out a couple if you have a good germination rate, but it's better than planting a couple, planting 1 seed per little section and not getting anything to sprout. So it's always good, like I said, 2 or 3 per section. And these are, get up here and show you how tiny these seeds are. You probably already know, but you can see, I mean, hopefully you can see this in my hand. There's a handful of seeds. I gotta keep my hand kind of close so the wind doesn't blow them away. So what I'm gonna do is just take, about 3 seeds per, 3 seeds, 3 to 4 seeds, something like that. And then I'm just gonna kind of rough the top of it up a little bit. Make sure they're just not sitting right on top of the dirt. And that should be good enough. Sometimes it's best not to rough that up if you're planting a lot of these, because you'll forget which ones you've roughed up and which ones you haven't. And it can be a little bit tricky to go back and try to figure out which ones you still need to rough up and get covered. So let's see, how many plants do I have here? Ooh, there we go, there's a couple. I think I'm gonna do 8 cabbage plants. I don't eat a lot of cabbage, but I do like to have it around. So I'm gonna do 8 of them cabbage. And then I'm gonna try some broccoli, try some Brussels sprouts. That gives me about 8 of each of those. And that should be enough. Especially cabbage, I don't know that there's a good way to, I can make sauerkraut and store it up, but I really prefer it fresh. So I don't wanna grow too much of it and not be able to store it. It's just gonna be something that it's not a huge commodity for me. So I'll use it up as it comes available. 8 of them should be plenty for me to use up. Cabbage isn't that expensive. If I need to buy some more throughout the year, I can. But I think 8's gonna be enough. I think I already did that one. Got confused. I think I put too many in one of them. Oh well, it will be okay. Okay, so there's my cabbage. We'll set that up here at the front of the tray. Let's go on to something else. Close that back up so I don't lose it. I may come back later and decide I want some more, and I may go ahead and start a couple more. I don't know yet. But right now, I'm just going to go with 8 of each of these. Was ripped off. There's not a seed 1 in this package. I just bought these. Not a seed 1, but that's okay. I'll take them back. All right. I know there's broccoli seeds in here. I can hear them. So I guess we're planting broccoli today. Well, heck, maybe I'll do one more cabbage then. And that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of each. And let's see, do I want cabbage or broccoli in this one? I'll do more broccoli. So I'll do one more cabbage and one more broccoli. I'll get Brussels sprout seeds and get those started later. That's never happened to me before. I've never bought a package of seeds and had to be completely empty. I was thinking, I've had broccoli seeds before. I don't remember them being that small when I was looking in the package, and there were not a one in there. Okay, like I said, I'm not an expert on broccoli. I've never had real good luck growing broccoli. I'm gonna try some row covers on them this year probably. See if I can keep the bugs off of them, see if that helps a little bit. Broccoli is one of those things in my experience that you do need to get started early and get it out early because it doesn't do well in the heat. Once the heat comes on, it tends to just kind of stop growing, wants to bolt. And sorry, I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. Okay, there's that. There's that. All right, those are planted. So I don't need to water them because I've already watered the dirt. The dirt's damp. So I will need to keep an eye on them until they sprout real good. They need to stay pretty damp. I'm going to use a humidity dome right here. You can, if you don't have these, you can put anything you want over the top of them. They do not need light to germinate and sprout. This just kind of helps keep the moisture in there, keeps them from drying out. So you could use anything you wanted to, a piece of saran wrap over the top of it, a piece of cardboard over the top, it doesn't matter. Whatever you want. Like I said, they don't need light to sprout, so you don't have to worry about that. Another tray like this, turn it upside down over the top of them. Any of that, anything will work like that. It just helps keep the moisture inside. These are gonna go in a warm place in my house. It's not overly warm. It's gonna be on the shelf in my spare room where I start all my seeds. But it's a warm place. It's not outside. They're not gonna sprout outside. It's a little too cold for that. With brassicas, they are a cold season crop, so they're going to sprout probably ideal temperatures, about what you keep your house, about 70 degrees maybe. That's on the high end. They don't really need it any warmer than that. So they're not really too hard to get going. One thing I will tell you about these, where most people have a hard time when they're starting seedlings, and this goes for no matter what you're starting. First of all, as soon as the seeds sprout, take this humidity dome off. You do not want to leave it on there. They'll end up getting mold or mildew or some of those kinds of things. They'll dampen off, which is when you have seedlings that dampen off. If you're trying to grow seeds before, they sprout and they start to grow, and then they get like real weak right at the base, right where it's the plant comes out of the ground, and then fall over. That's dampening off. It's usually from too much water, not letting them drain, not letting them dry out just a little bit in between waterings. You don't want it to dry out completely, but you do want it to be able to breathe and get airflow. So this stays on, keeps the moisture in there, keep them pretty damp until they sprout, then take the humidity dome off at that point. The other problem that most people have is light. They need a lot of light to grow. Once they sprout, you need to put them under the lights, and they need a lot of it. Now, you don't have to invest in any kind of high dollar grow lights, anything like that. I use just regular shop lights, like a 10-foot fluorescent shop light. It's not 10 foot, it's 4 foot. I don't know why I said 10 foot. 4-foot fluorescent shop light, like you would put up in a garage or a shop or anything like that. Has 2 bulbs in it. And look at the bulbs that you're buying. Make sure they say there'll be a temperature rating on them. Temperature is like a Kelvin temperature. So like what spectrum the light is in. Just get two that are like daylight. If you can't find daylight spectrum, get a warm bulb and a soft bulb. And they'll say, or a warm bulb and a cool bulb, sorry. They'll say on the package whether it's warm or whether it's cool. And if you just get one of each, put them in the fixture, hang it right over the top of your plants, as close to the top of those plants as you can get it. You're gonna want it on a system where you can raise it up as the plants start to grow. But you want it down, like if this is the top of the plant, you want the light, I mean, just right, almost touching the plant. And that's gonna help them grow strong. If you don't have that, if you don't have enough light, your plants get real long and leggy, so they'll get real tall, real thin, and they'll start growing off to the side. They won't stand up straight and be good and strong. So those are the two most important things when it comes to starting your seeds. I'll do some continued videos on this stuff. I've done them in the past. You guys have been watching my videos for a long time. You've probably seen plenty of my seed starting videos, but I'll do some more as we go. This is just a good way to kind of get your spring fix in. Because these are brassicas, they're cool season crops. They'll be able to handle the cold a little bit. And it kind of gives me an excuse to get my hands dirty, get something planted, get something growing, get to working on it. It's too early to start all those other things. Peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, any of that stuff, it's too early for that. I don't start any of that stuff until 6 weeks before I'm gonna plant it. None of that stuff's gonna go into the garden until probably the second week of May. So it's too early for me to get to planting those things. The problem you run into if you plant them too early is they get too big and you can't find pots. I mean, like, this doesn't look like much. But what happens when these things sprout and get up a little bit bigger, they're gonna go into a bigger pot and they're gonna grow considerably bigger before they go in the ground. So what doesn't look like much right now, by the time they're ready to go into the ground is gonna be, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 24 plants here. So 24 plants that are gonna be probably in pots that big by that tall before they go in the ground. That's a lot more room than this. So it's hard to keep up with all that. Plus they get a lot taller. It's hard to keep lights on them and it just runs into all kinds of problems. So you're better off waiting until the ideal time and not trying to rush it. That's my opinion anyway. So again, I'm just gonna water these every day with this mister. Make sure they stay damp until they sprout. It'll probably take them about a week to sprout. And then the top will come off. They'll go under the grow lights at that point. That's about it for this video, guys. Watching the rabbit, see how she does with her babies. Getting some seeds started. Spring's almost here. It's getting exciting. It's hard to wait, but sometimes you just gotta have some patience. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what do you guys plan on growing in your garden this year? Anything special? Anything unique? Maybe it's something new that I haven't tried before. Maybe I'll give it a shot too. Thank you again for watching. God bless each and every one of you.